Make sure you have YouTube and LinkedIn turned on. But Donna, we're talking about business. Here's one great thing of business, to be able to figure stuff out as you go, right? Kind of on the fly. And in Deprescribing with business ideas that are kind of coming in, what are some of the things that you've gone through, Donna, I guess overall, and the iterations that you've played? And I'd love just to hear like where you've been from the academic to the practice settings and getting it to be an actual business that we can charge for.
Yeah. Yeah. So, first of all, like, I just want to say happy spring to everybody. And I'm glad that we're springing forth with these great ideas, right? This is so important. So, thinking
Yeah.
about like a new accomplishment or a new dream, or, I just think it's a perfect time to be thinking this way. So, it was very fun for me to make a list of all the places where I've seen progress and I've seen success for me. This is more or less a side hustle in regards to it's not the only thing that I do as part of being also an associate professor. So some of these ideas, though, and in talking with people and working with people to figure it out, I've also seen so many successes and things that might not work so well or be worth the time that you put into it. So some of the things that I've done is being a part of grants. And for years, I got paid through grants. So I actually was in part of a pharmacy outreach program. And for 11 years, my position was based on what kind of grants we got in. We were all grant funded. So that got a little unsettling towards when you didn't necessarily see some of the growth that you were hoping for, or some
Right.
of the successes. So if you can be part of a grant to help jumpstart things or get your name out there, by all means, it's a great place to start. And I'm sure others were going to say, once you have a grant, you can get more grants. But actually, I'm the one who's been more the worker of the grant, if you will, where other grant writers are writing, and I am the pharmacist that's actually performing the pharmacy side of things. So that can vary too.
Donna, can you tell us
Yeah,
on that? Because we talk about grants so often, right? But
yeah,
they come in all shapes and forms, like the ways these are
hmm,
coming in. So for
yeah,
the academic institution that you're connected with as a professor, you
hmm.
you received a grant from the institution, and then you're able to practice that out inside of your practice setting, or what's the way that you're getting your grants, or you have in the past?
No, so these were all outside grants for a pharmacy outreach program. So it was a nonprofit side of it was a call center
501c.
that we had.
Yeah.
And so what we did is actually the state funded us. There was a state assistance program that also funded us. Different agencies on aging throughout the state would fund us for various work within their districts. So it was all sorts of different areas where we received funding.
Got it.
But you had to maintain that in order to have a crew of people to be able to work and to be able to do great work, actually, where we've helped save, I can't even imagine the hundreds of thousands upon thousands of dollars, probably well more than that for how many years it's been in existence, for folks that just couldn't afford their meds, and helping them with that. And then also doing the med reviews and helping them reduce meds that were no longer necessary. So it's, I mean, it was probably in place for over 20 years now. So I was there for 11 years of it. So yeah.
So that
Um,
outreach, that folks can understand it, Donna, because I feel like this is
mhm,
so important. I'll give you an
yeah.
example, like my perspective on grants. So when I was setting up grants for other companies previously, we'd work with a 501c that had a vested interest in
Mhm,
public health in one way, shape, or form in deprescribing, right?
yeah.
And so they wanted to be able to give out grant funding earmarked. Usually this 501c in particular that I'm talking about, they're related to improving the health of a given region. And so to be
Mhm,
able to allow me as a for-profit individual or to get paid, they had to segue the grant funds into another institution that was able to take
mhm.
that funding and then pay out to a
Right.
for-profit or to a
Yes.
contractor. And so oftentimes what I've seen in deprescribing is aging and long-term care settings or home health agencies. Those are some
Mhm.
that are taking that burden on, that are run by the state, to be able to bring that grant funding in and then repurpose it out to those individuals. The hope of the grant funding, Donna, was for it to be continued and perpetuated. So not for it to be grant funded and grant funded and grant funded, but to have an initial investment that then they could take results and then push that across to payers in the region to say, here's what we've
Right.
done, here's the positive impacts, what will you
Mhm.
pay for this type of service kind of moving forward. And so that's my breakdown that I've experienced, Donna. Similar to yours, or
Yes, that is how it was supposed to, go forth. I think that's the whole idea of grants, is to finally, have your own standing entity in that regard. But unfortunately, um, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that that actually happened, where I was, and I think more funding was more level funding is what it ended up being, and because there's so much information, it was really like almost like a partial state agency too, and they had this school of pharmacy in order to provide this information. So I almost think, both sides, the university and the state, it almost ended up seeming like almost like a yearly renewal, if you will. It had to still apply, but I think we're so established with the work that we did that we kept like winning the grant, if you will,
got
and
it.
had the services to do so. So I think that that was part of it. I wasn't one of the like I said, grant writers or um I was just part of the group that was funded by these grants, and knowing that, every now and again I would say, hey, there's a grant here. I heard about this kind of thing. And I would make my suggestions, but I wasn't the one actually meeting necessarily and writing the grants.
Makes so much sense. Makes so
Yeah.
much sense.
Yeah. Um, so so that was like part of the whole grant thing. Now I am working again as an outsider, if you will, of the pharmacy outreach program, and I am a consultant pharmacist for them. And now I'm getting paid to do programs and also medication reviews for a particular section of Massachusetts. So it's only central Mass. So if I go outside of these towns, then I cannot include those. And it has to be, 60-year-old and older. So the criteria is something I do have to meet, of course, like with any grant. But if I go outside of that and I'm doing some work myself, now I kind of have an idea of like established fees and what I should be doing. And so that's how that goes. People will actually pay me directly for those services. So
So
so that can
totally
change.
cash-based then. So
Say it
so
again.
that piece of really the deprescribing business idea is grant funding, and you transition and you're doing some cash-based, direct consumer kind of components of business to consumer, B2C.
Yeah, yeah. So, and if it all depends too, I understand the nonprofits, and they really just don't have necessarily a lot of money, especially the councils on agings and things like that. So if I can get the med reviews from them, I don't necessarily charge for the program to enlighten people. But if people choose to want further service and one-to-one counseling, then that is where I might benefit
Interesting.
on a business side.
That makes a ton of sense. I know that couple plugs for programs. I know within MTM, like there are MTM services, inside of the clinic setting and inside of the retail pharmacy setting or community setting, that now we're
Mhm,
looking at tips or directly kind of addressing a particular targeted intervention. There
mhm,
are some more overview components of the MTM service in general that will have some payment depending on the model, Donna. Like some states,
mhm,
they have their own state payments for MTM unrelated to CMS potentially, that have private payer rates that come back and
mhm,
can make some money. But talking to other colleagues, the MTM services are literally off of their radar entirely because they feel like the time investment and what actually happens from reimbursement is so
right,
off that it's difficult to participate. CCM, so chronic care management, and RPM are other ones in the incident to like billing pathways that I've seen that I absolutely love,
mhm,
because I feel like there's real opportunity to integrate deep prescribing in there. But
yeah.
those are some off the top of my head. I'm missing any you wanted to mention, Donna?
Yeah, no, and I agree with you on the MTM through CMS. It's very rigid and who is even eligible for this. So that you only have a very small percentage. There's about I don't know exactly what the latest statistic is, but it's probably in the 30 percentages that folks actually qualify for MTM services through their Medicare Part D plan. And then from there, even a smaller amount actually say yes to it. So not only do they have to qualify, but you have to get them to say yes, which of course we all do. That's part of what our business is, or part of deprescribing is, right? Is to enter in those conversations. But you might have somebody on the same number of meds, but because their medicine isn't so expensive, then they don't qualify. So there's an
Yes.
expense, there's certain disease states, and a certain number of medications. And it all depends upon the insurance that they have. They get to pick. So with that, it's hard to navigate, and even year to year that can change. So even though somebody might be eligible one year, they might not be eligible the following year. So then what about that? So there's a lot of hiccups, if you will, and it's not so inclusive on standards, if you will. It's more I feel like it's more money driven. That's my opinion. But
It's true.
yeah.
Very true. I mean, I've even seen, Donna, in the hospital setting that someone may have like a hospital or healthcare system. And I'm sure you work in one that could be similar, but they have their own health plan. And so they're trying to attack the top 10% of spenders and look at the disease states and manifestations that are going to cost the most money for the plan. And so there's an opportunity for a deprescribing pharmacist to come in and work with that kind of group or population set to be able to bring those numbers down. Oftentimes,
Right.
we're seeing other professionals being leveraged there. I think it's fantastic to see pharmacists being, put into those roles. But once again, it is very money related. And it really shrinks down the population that can be addressed because they're kind of fitting given criteria for that individual payer or employer at the time.
Absolutely. So it's not standardized, and unfortunately, that means that patients either have to pay out of pocket, or you find some institution that's going to do the grants, or you do it out of the kindness of your own heart. So which are all the things that we do, right? We give away a lot of free information, shall we say. So and then you also talked about the I'm sorry, the incident to bill
Oh, yeah.
um, under the physicians, and I just want to touch base on that real quick. That is, I think, one of the better areas where we as pharmacists can actually get paid for what we do, because with that, we do not need to meet specific criteria. It can really be any patient, right? If a physician feels that this is necessary, you're part of that operation, the incident to the physician providing the health care, as long as it's helping with the quality of the patients and the quality of care, then it will be covered. So that, I think, is a great opportunity if you can get into a clinic of sorts or under a particular physician and their group. So either doing it as a part-time or not. I've been working with a geriatrics group recently, and just trying to figure things out still, but they love the information that they hear about the patients and their meds, and how to look at them, and just the recommendations being made. It's always, oh my gosh, this is fantastic, which I know we do that. I know we're fantastic as pharmacists. So thinking about that, I think I think we're making progress. It's just slow, but we're making
Yeah,
progress.
I think there's a neat like tie-in when it comes to chronic care management, remote patient monitoring, remote therapeutic monitoring, and some of the umbrella type of services and remote care services that they allow for a broader number of individuals to qualify. Even if you don't qualify for chronic care management, you can qualify for PCM. And so there's the ability for us to be able to leverage some of those payment modalities, the ability for us to do incident to billing. The barrier to entry is that physician relationship, is that clinic relationship, because they are the ones necessary to push that bill across. If you can establish that, either be part of the team or outside of the team and bill from a contractual relationship, as our thought leader at Thea, often recommends, having that service agreement type of setting as opposed to a collaborative practice agreement to start with is a really good spot. And the other one that I've seen some very innovative groups, especially community pharmacies, do this, Donna, and I'm sure you'll love it, is they've not only went in and said, I can do the service for you for incident to billing, but they've tied it into their value metrics or their core metrics for their value-based care. So they're also looking at payment mechanisms or sharing some of that additional profit, or just validating their services through the profit that it's gone through. If you achieve these marks in quality, you increase your overall reimbursement for your entire facility. And so now they're able to look at multiple metrics to be able to hit for those individuals. And I think once again, validate, it's wild, Donna, we're still talking about validating pharmacists, which is crazy to me, crazy, but we still have to do it. We have to document it and we have to put it in one place so that we have this conversation on deprescribing business ideas. And someone goes, it's a part of every single clinic. Everyone's doing it.
Right. Absolutely. So here we are, the pioneers, right? Making it happen.
Well, Don and I will continue the conversation inside of RPH Ally, and we will see you guys over there. Thank you so much for attending. Any questions, shoot them across into Donna's channel, the Deprescribing channel inside of RPH Ally. Love for you guys to be able to join and give us your expertise and thoughts and your wins inside of Deprescribing for business so other people can be able to leverage that. The one nice thing is social media can make us think there's a scarcity mentality, that there's only so many patients we can see. Well, there's less than 350,000 of us. And there's 1 billion plus patients for us to be able to take care of just in US, Canada, alone. So let's be able to kind of collaborate and be able to bring that across. And I think we can do it inside of your channel, Donna.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kevin.
Talk soon, guys.